and welcome back today. It is Sunday. How are you doing, Brian?
I'm good.
How are you feeling today?
Good. Awesome. Really, really good. Yeah.
Good. How was your week?
It was crazy. It was just a lot of stuff happening. It was go, 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 such as life in the IT world, just busier than normal. There was a whole bunch of stuff. There were some issues that arose that you don't anticipate for, but that happens all the time in the IT world. So, like, you can plan a day fairly well. You can plan the things that you can control, but there's going to be a lot of stuff that you can't, and a lot of that happened this week.
So same here. I had a roller coaster week, actually, so pretty crazy, but that's when you lean further into God.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah.
Overcome. So it's been a week.
If I didn't have that,
what do you have for us today?
Well, so today I got to thinking about, and you can't really see it, but it's over there on the other side of my office wall. And ironically, after I studied this and printed it off, Pastor Andy preached a sermon on it. It was this last summer. I don't know if you remember or not, but it was on Psalm 91. And Psalm 91 is to me, one of the best chapters in the entire Bible. It basically proclaims all of God's promises for you, really, really heavily hitting on the protection of it, about how you stay protected within Him. So I've titled today's Living in the Promise.
Okay. What does Psalm 91 say?
Well, it says a whole lot because there's a whole bunch of verses. But my favorite is... the whole thing is fairly long. I can't remember exactly how many verses. But my favorite, what really stuck out to me for today, is verses 14 through 16. And whenever we're doing this, I like doing the New Living Translation just because it's the most literal. It's, without the these and the thous and the thines and all that other fun stuff. So Psalm 91, 14 through 16 says this. It says, "The Lord says, I will rescue those who love me. I will protect those who trust in my name. When they call on me, I will answer. I will be with them in trouble. I will rescue and honor them. I will reward them with a long life and give them my salvation." That's pretty powerful. And one of the main reasons that I picked this is just that, we've said this before, like whenever you talk to somebody on the street and they're like, or you're like, how can I pray for you, etc. And they're kind of shy and quiet at first, but then whenever they start talking and they bare their soul and they're in tears and all of that, it's just, I think it's just a crisis of identity. I always go back to identity. Like if you live your life from the identity that you are a child of God, you're going to be different. Every decision that you make, all of your habits, all of them big or small, come from who you think you are. And that's why this identity in Christ is so important. And so you've got all these Christians running around, and a lot of them are just really, really sad, and they're worried, and they're terrified all the time. This is a topic for a different day, but do you know what Jesus told us more than any other thing throughout His entire ministry? It's don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. And
fear not.
Yeah, and we're scared all the time. All the time. And if we truly, fully grasped His promises to us, we wouldn't worry about anything. Ever. No. And so something else that I put in my notes here is, here's just some of the promises that He gives us. Transformation, you're looking at it. Hope, strength, peace beyond anything that you could possibly imagine. Divine protection, wisdom, all things being made new. All of these things, and I feel like there's way more grumpy Gus's than there needs to be, especially in the church world.
Yeah.
I just feel like that. I feel like people are worried all the time. And worry there's some things we should worry about. I'm not saying like go around with your head in the sand. There's some things in life that you have to take care of. But at the end of the day, we know who wins. We know the final outcome. What are we worried about? What are we worried about? Like if we live in those promises, and we focus on those and we seek His will constantly, like we talk about all the time on this channel, I feel like that peace that surpasses all understanding can come to you. And that's the biggest difference in my life from a couple of years ago. I was worried I was worried if I was going to live for the rest of the day. That genuinely concerned me more than once. It happened more than once. So
right. I don't
have that anymore.
I think I touched a little bit on this last week. Peace that surpasses understanding.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that there aren't ever days that you should worry. Of course.
You worry about your kids.
And I think that's a natural feeling that God doesn't want to take that away from us, because that feeling of worrying, the difference between the fear of worrying, between worrying when you're a Christian and the fear of, I don't know why I keep saying fear. The difference between worrying when you're a Christian and worrying when you're not is that worrying when you're a Christian just tells you that it's time to lean into him.
That's true. And it goes back to a quote that I absolutely love. If I can just spit it real quick.
Right.
And that is, what you worry about the most is where you trust God the least.
Yeah. I can see that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I also think there's this whole other level where worry is an emotion that he allows us to have because, like I said, when you worry, you lean close into him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he doesn't want to be a God that just gives you things. He wants to be a God that you lean on
he's on a vending
for
machine
protection.
God.
Yes.
That's where a relationship
you lean
comes
on, that you count on, like any father.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's totally where a relationship comes into. Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think that as a Christian you should never worry. I just think how you overcome that worry and how you deal with the worry is different.
Yeah, how you approach it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you live in those promises, you approach it completely differently. I mean, even Jesus got worried, the garden in Gethsemane, the night that he was going to be arrested,
of course,
beaten, executed, all of that.
Yes, he was
a little spooked.
He went off and cried.
More than cried, he sweated blood.
Yeah.
I mean, he was terrified. He was terrified because he knew it was coming, but the love that he had for you went through it anyway because his identity was in the Father.
Right.
And he saw the bigger picture.
Exactly.
He saw that bigger picture. And I think we as humans, we throw in the towel super duper quick, especially in this Western culture, get whatever you want, things should go your way constantly, society that we live in. When things don't go right, we freak out.
Yeah.
Over nothing, I feel like. Excuse me. And, I tell you this every single time that I come home from my Thursday nights at Garfield Park downtown. It's like, you want to talk about perspective shifting, go look at those problems.
Right.
And then look at our problem. Like, my problems are not problems. And, it's no matter what problems that you have, somebody would kill for your problems.
Yeah, there's that too.
You know what I mean?
There's that too. I just don't want to shame Christians for feeling
like
they have.
I do it. I mean, I'm not saying I walk around worry free. That's impossible.
Here, I have an example from this week.
Okay.
And this is not a political thing. I'm just giving an example of the circumstance I was in because it was a real thing. President Trump signed that executive order at 10:30 at night to freeze federal grants. Well, I oversee a federal grant. That's
a federal grant pays you.
Right. My federal grant pays my salary, and it pays for the whole program that is the purpose of my job. And I oversee a few other grants too, not just the grant that pays me. So it's just my job deals heavily with federal grants. So he signed it, I woke up, he signed it like 10:30 at night, I believe, because I didn't see it till the next morning. Yeah. And
it's a couple hours past.
I'm already way asleep. And so I saw it the next day, and the next day we were just even my superintendent, wondering what's going to happen. What does this mean? Fair question. I can tell you that while I was concerned, of course, naturally I was concerned. There's no way that wouldn't be natural, right? If you aren't concerned and you're in that situation, that's not natural.
It's your job security.
But I wasn't like devastated, terrified, shaking in my boots. I was, okay, God, if you close this door, what does this mean next? Just the unknown, really. It's a difference between feeling terrified and feeling, oh no, here we go, doomsday, and just wondering, because it wasn't more than wondering, what's next, God? If you're closing this door, then what is it that you're opening? What's next? That's the difference, I think.
It is. And a couple years ago, you would have had an epic meltdown in that same situation.
Oh, yeah.
And so what's the difference? You're thinking from a different place. You're thinking from your identity as a daughter of the king.
Yeah.
Instead of, oh my gosh, the world is crumbling. I'm going to die. I'm going to freak out. I'm going to shut down. I won't be able to function as a human being because of this weight that's on me.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know.
A great example.
Yes, it's a great example. And I know that he has a purpose for me, and that my purpose, all of our purpose, our main number one purpose, is to use whatever spirit-filled gifts that he gave us to reach others and win others to him, right?
Yeah.
So if there's something, he's not going to allow things to happen that keep me from doing that. Mm-hmm. He wants my energy and my focus to remain on that. As long as as long as you're obeying what it is he's asking you to do and making those small sacrifices that he's asking you to do for the good of the kingdom, then he doesn't want things that he knows that you can't handle to happen.
Yeah, I mean, the Bible's very clear that he is not going to give you more than you can handle.
Exactly.
And that especially means you rely on him. And it's so funny that you just said that. You mentioned the word purpose.
Yeah.
Which leads me into actually one of the main points that I wanted to make today is whenever, so would you agree, and I see it all the time, you probably do too, whenever you meet people and you talk to them, it's one of the cornerstones of this ministry, is whenever, if you walked up to 100 people on the street and you asked them all, why do you get out of bed every single day?
Yeah, of course.
95% of them are going to say, I don't know.
Right. I said this last Sunday.
Yes, when you know where you're coming from and you know your identity, when you believe in these promises, your purpose becomes not crystal clear, but you know which direction to go. There's plenty of times like I'm 45 and I'm still trying to figure out my life purpose, right? And then I realize whenever I break it down, my life purpose is to obey Jesus Christ in everything. And all these things will be added unto me. Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things he's going to add to you. So that's the beautiful thing about this, is whenever you rest in his promises, your life has purpose. And when your life has purpose, you move in a positive direction. You use those gifts to impact the kingdom. But if you're sitting around scared to death all the time, you're wasting time, you're wasting talents. And quite honestly, it's an insult to God, because he's like, hey, I made you. I am the king of the universe. I knew you before you were even born. So how dare you say that you're a loser? How dare you say that you're less than? I made you. You're not less than. I created you.
I can't imagine in a million years a scenario where I first encounter the Lord face to face, after my time on earth here is done, and he looks at me and asks me 100 questions about my career.
Yeah, that's not going to
happen. That's not going to happen.
No.
He's going to ask me about the person that I witnessed to at the grocery store.
How did you use your gifts in your career?
How did you use your gifts? Now, how did I reach people in my career? How did I help people? How did I help those less fortunate in my career? In my case, that's what he's called me to do for now.
Yeah.
And so that's what I do. Those are the things he's going to ask me about.
That's good.
He's not going to want to know what lesson I did on Tuesday with my group of second graders.
No, because if you're being obedient, he's going to use those, and the harvest is not up to you either.
Right.
That's an amazing thing.
Right.
And Pastor Andy brought it up again this morning, and I absolutely love it. I talked about it, maybe it was last week or the one before that, is that he wants us to give him our burden. So like when you're worried, when you're scared to death, when you're terrified, when you're not living in those promises, he specifically says, cast all of your burdens, all of your cares upon me. You're stressed out? Good. Give it to me. I'll take it. Yeah. Like, whatever you're going through, I've been through that times 100. Like, he wants... Could you imagine if in real life you had somebody at your work that was like, hey, any problems that you have, anything that you don't like doing, give it to me and I'll do it. That's what he does for us. Yeah. Like, it's amazing. Yeah. I would love to have one of those guys.
Right.
That'd be absolutely awesome. I mean, it's called an assistant, I suppose, but, and Jesus obviously is not our assistant. He wants to be co-heirs with us. And so like he just doesn't want to do all these things for us. He's seeking that relationship. Like he not only wants to use our gifts that he's given us for he wants to do it with us. Yeah. He wants to hang out with us. He wants to be a humongous part of our lives.
Yeah.
And so that's what still blows me away to this day.
I think the hardest thing for me right now, the hardest thing for me to give to him are those insecure moments.
We all have
That's
them.
me. But I think everybody's is different with what some struggle with fear, some struggle with anxiety. I think the biggest one for me is the insecurity moments. Yeah. That's where that's where the enemy attacks me most. And I don't know about you. What do you think
I still fear, and I say this all the time. I feel like I'm super close. I feel what others think of me. I feel fear of judgment from others, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I pray about, and believe me, I'm a million times better than I used to be.
Right.
But I still have that, well, what's this guy going to think? What's this girl going to think? I don't know. It's hard to shake. I pray about it all the time. And, but I also think it kind of gives me an edge a little bit at the same time. I mean, maybe I'm just making excuses for myself. I don't know. But that's just me pouring out just a little bit. I tend to care what others think too much.
Yeah.
And you should care. I mean, to an extent, you should care what other people, like you shouldn't do stupid things and just be like, who cares? Like, I don't care what you think.
Right.
But at the end of the day, as far as like accomplishments and like things that I'm doing with my life and who I'm pleasing, you're either going to please God or please man. You can't do both.
Right.
Can't do both. You can only have one master, so
right.
I struggle with that.
And honestly, I don't think I even told you this today, but they've been pulling me over for prayer for 2 weeks in a row now because I think they wanted to practice, but anyways. So I've been prophesized over 2 weeks in a row, and both times it was about overcoming that and letting my light shine.
Interesting.
For Jesus.
Yeah.
Both people, and they didn't even know that the other had said that.
Yeah.
So I know that that's where God's working on me right now.
Yeah.
So do you have any idea what God's working on with you?
Yeah,
right now?
I've had some people speak that into me as well. Really, what they've spoken into me is that I have an amazing story, and I will agree with that. All glory to Him for sure. But like to speak it boldly and proudly and unashamed. And I do for the most part. But I know for a fact that there are times throughout the day, throughout the weeks, months, that there are opportunities that I have to share this with somebody, and I don't.
Right.
And I know it. I feel it. And afterwards, I'm like, that was a blown opportunity. I know for a fact that God teed that up completely, and I just walked away from it.
And that blows my mind with you because Brian is a people person.
A little bit.
He loves talking to people. And so it's the complete opposite of me because when the people telling me to let my light shine, I know exactly what it is because God's been nudging at me about it for a while now, is just I get shy around it when I'm around a bunch of adults. Sometimes I get shy and awkward, and I want to get over that because I don't know where that came from. And I just know that that's part of hindering me, and that's why people are speaking it over me right now.
And these things that we're talking about, that just shows that we're flawed, like we're human beings.
Of course, that's why I'm bringing it up because I don't want to feel like we're just like lecturing you all the time about things that we struggle with, and you don't know that we struggle with them as well. So I'm just making it clear that we struggle too. We know the truth, and we're sharing the truth with you because it helps us to know the truth. But that doesn't mean that we don't struggle with these things.
I struggle with a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. And most of mine does boil down to what other people think. And what I don't want to, something that I found, and this is becoming more and more real to me.
How do you struggle with what other people think of you, but you're still like so... I don't want to say in their faces, but you're so like, hey, I'm Brian. Everyone knows when you enter a room because you are talking to everyone. How are you talking to everyone but still worried about what they think about you? I don't understand that.
I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know. It's very, very weird.
Because you're able to talk to anybody. That's my point.
You're able to talk to anybody. Maybe I'm like afraid of what people think on like social media. And, like,
I think that your surface conversations, you're fine. Which I'm the opposite. I struggle with surface conversations, but those deep conversations, I don't struggle with because I feel like if I'm having a deep conversation with you, then I know you well enough.
Yeah.
Right? To trust you and trust you in my circle.
I see that.
But yeah, so I struggle. We're the opposite. I struggle with those taking the step to have that initial conversation with people I don't know.
Yeah.
And you struggle the opposite of getting a little bit deeper of what people are going to think.
Well, and also I do because also in my circle, whether these social media channels, things like that, are people that I work with. They are clients. They are people that don't know this side of me. All that they know is like the public facing side, and like what are they going to think whenever they see that video of me talking about loving Jesus? It's not a matter of being ashamed. It's a matter of them like just sitting me down and having that conversation. Like, hey, I didn't know that you were a Jesus freak. Like, hey, that's new. Had no idea. I want them to know. Like, see, how am I trying to word this? I want to be the same guy that I am on Sunday mornings, that I am on Sunday nights, that I am on Tuesday nights, all of that. Like when I walk into a room, that they're going to be like, that is Brian Crouch, sold out for the Lord, et cetera, et cetera. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sort of?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, indeed. And I would say that that's my struggle. And it's just crazy because I shouldn't be like that. Like I know all the tactics. I know all the strategies of like, putting yourself out there for those things. And I don't know. It freaks me out sometimes. And I don't know why. I think that's a tool that the enemy uses.
He's a sneaky little devil.
Well, literally, yes. And I feel like that our story is so powerful and the impact that we're going to make is so huge that I think that these little things, these little stumbling blocks, I think are perfectly placed to kind of hinder that message a little bit, if that makes any sense. So, Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, that's not rambling. Hopefully, what I'm saying
No.
makes
I don't
sense.
think so.
It all boils down to identity, which is great because whenever we're doing these things, whenever I'm at church, whenever I'm, hanging out with my Christian friends, which is pretty much almost every friend that I have, is that like, we can talk about this stuff all day, every day, no problem.
Yeah.
I want to be that same dude on Wednesday at noon whenever I'm working on server issues for somebody.
Yeah, see, I'm in a different position.
You can't really preach while you're at work. You know what I'm saying? Like
I really can't, but
you'll get in trouble. But you don't have to. Like, just the way that you live your life, the smile that you show people. Like, I'm a huge believer that you can see Jesus in somebody's eyes whenever you're speaking with. It's almost a vibe that they put out, and it's really the Holy Spirit. Like, you can just tell.
Yeah.
Today's all about the Holy Spirit, including our sermon this morning. Which shout out to you, PA. That belongs on the Greatest Hits album, dude. That
good.
sermon was top notch.
It was really good.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was really, really good. But do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. So, and it all comes back to living on those promises. All of those promises he gave to us, like those 6 or 7 that I just read off earlier, it's a drop in the bucket compared to all of them. Like, if we really understood and if we really comprehended and if we could fathom what those promises are and we lived in those promises boldly, we'd be absolutely unstoppable for his kingdom.
Do you see my shirt that I wore today?
Yeah,
Promise Keeper.
Yeah. Waymaker, Miracle Worker, Promise Keeper, all that stuff. I feel like I've heard that song before. Yeah, a couple times.
Isn't it ironic?
Yes, that's a different song. So yeah, I mean that's really all that I had today. I didn't want to make it super duper long. We're probably going to be pushing in between 20 and 30 minutes here, but I just wanted to talk about just living in the promises, and just it was a great reminder for me, and I kind of gather up some of these ideas from the crazy amount of devotions and stuff that I'm signed up for, and I just kind of piecemeal those. I'm like, hey, that'd be awesome to talk about, and that just struck me this morning. It actually happened to happen to me. So anyway,
all right.
Anything else from you for living in the promises of him?
Living in the promises of him. Like I said, I just think it's about, leaning into him when things are unknown.
When you talk about leaning into him,
because the unknown is so scary.
Yeah, but how do you do that? Like, easier said than done. Like, whenever you tell somebody, just lean into God more, what does that mean to you? There's no right or wrong answer.
To me, it's definitely getting into the Word. Praise music is a big one for me.
Okay. And everybody's a little bit different. I love praise and worship music too, but it hits different for you. Like, I listen to it when I'm working out. I listen to it in the car. I listen to it all the time.
Praise music
to
is
me,
my jam.
it makes me feel really, really good. So I think it has something to do with it, but it's not as high up there for me as it is for you. I don't feel like.
Yeah.
It's up there.
For me, it's one of my spiritual weapons for sure.
Yeah, it's a weapon. Yeah.
You have more of the Bible verses in the Bible actual words.
I do love it.
As your weapon.
Yeah.
I do not. I struggle there, but I am doing the Bible recap, which
that's pretty amazing.
Been amazing.
I'm impressed, y'all. So
it is so guys. Guys, there are parts of the Old Testament that you did not learn in Sunday school growing up.
That's so true.
Trust me.
I'm going to repeat out loud what you asked me the other night that I thought was just absolutely hilarious.
Oh, no.
No, it's not terrible. You just looked at me. So we're both reading the Bible in a year. We're just doing different programs. She's doing the Bible recap with, what's her name? Do you remember off the top of your head? I can't remember the lady that does the videos. Yeah. I'm doing it with Nikki and Pippa Gumble from the UK, same people that lead the Alpha series. So we're both reading it, but we're both getting different perspectives. We're both in the Old Testament right now, and I am in the middle of an Old Testament college class that is just insanely intense right now. So yes, we're both diving deep into the Old Testament.
Yeah.
You asked me, you go, did everybody just have sex with everybody?
Oh, Brian!
And I was like, it sure does seem like it's crazy, but yeah, like whatever you read through.
It's absolutely.
Yeah. The be fruitful and multiply was on full display for sure.
If you can
you said Genesis, Abraham got married again?
Yes. If you can read Genesis with something like, you're going to need some assistance with it, like the Bible recap, or what's the shorts that she plays too? They're popular shorts from the YouTube that go over the books.
Yeah, you watch a video at the end of them.
But not her video. Like, okay, I don't remember. I'll have to think of it.
Oh, the Bible Project.
The Bible Project videos.
Amazing.
You need something like that to help you while you're reading it, because otherwise you might not catch it, but you're like, what?
Commentaries are good.
Right.
Yeah.
But you all.
I don't know how we landed.
who cares? It's pretty funny.
It is funny.
I am beyond thankful that I did not live in those times.
Yeah, I was born in 79 for a
Absolutely beyond thankful. Because they all had this, we still have that hunger, but they had a hunger and a purpose to populate the world, and they went through all kinds of measures.
They did a good job.
They went through all kinds of measures to populate the world.
Yes, they did. They did.
Yes, and some of that, like, we're still living the repercussions of that today. That's the crazy part to me.
Of course, yeah.
Like,
indeed, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it.
Things you did not learn in Sunday school.
Yeah, you think about it. It was a long time ago, but it wasn't that long as far as, like, generationally goes. It was a long time, thousands of years, a couple thousand, but, like, yeah, not that long.
Anyways,
it's pretty well, yeah. Anyway,
I don't even remember what you asked me to get me a little trailed off on that.
I don't know either. Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah.
I don't even know how we got there.
Oh, you asked me when leaning into God, what does that look like?
Yeah.
Anyways, and I said, you
get into the Word.
You dig into the Word more. I struggle a little bit more with that. So I'm learning all these new things because I'm committed. You gotta remember, we're babies at going back to Christianity as adults.
Yeah.
So we are really.
I've always had the head knowledge of the Bible, but like the real life practical application, it makes a world of difference. Obviously, it's a completely different book. It's a different book.
I've always struggled with it, even when I was in the quiz team, Bible quiz team. I was on the Bible quiz team.
Nerd, were you really?
Yeah, I was.
Nice.
I was. I wasn't very good at it at all.
Fair enough. Hey, at least you showed up.
I went to church Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday nights until I was old enough that my mom didn't fight with me about it because I was, practically an adult. And I still could only tell you until a few months ago. I could still only tell you a few Bible verses, and that doesn't. It just never. I don't know. It's just I struggle.
I feel like that's more commonplace than you think in Christianity. It's like you memorize 5 or 6 of the main ones that you hear all the time. Everybody knows John 3:16. All of that stuff.
Right.
Yeah, but you're diving deeper. You're understanding more.
Because now I realize how important it is because it is a weapon, and you need to be armed.
It's the end all be all, I think, as far as human existence.
You definitely need to be armed. So that's why, and it's fascinating, really.
Super fascinating. I love it. I'm getting obsessed with it.
Now you definitely. People like me definitely need something to help you along the side of it. You can't.
Well, that's why those exist. Yeah, you're not alone in that. Yeah.
So but anyways.
Yeah, very, very cool. Yeah. So live in those promises. I know that it's easier said than done, and you do that by getting into the Word and being intentional about spending time with God, not going to church on Sunday morning and being like, well, that'll get me through the week. I'm telling you, by tomorrow morning at 8:30 in the morning, you're going to be toast. If you don't use this as
don't just come to Him when you need something, or don't just come to Him when you're thanking Him from something. Make it a habit to talk to Him every day.
And what's crazy is that He'll still usually hook you up if you're just going to Him, just asking for stuff.
Right, but
He doesn't want that. I mean, that's just His love for you, right?
Yeah.
And it's just, but God's not a vending machine, and way too many people treat Him like that. A lot of people treat Him like that think that they're super cool with Him, everything's kosher, everything's good, and I don't know. It's just shocking to me. I hope and pray that I'm not deceived like that. I hope if I get to that point that He convicts my heart and that He's like, hey, man, I'm trying to help you here. Step it up a little bit.
Right.
Because this is a two-way street.
Right.
If He bled and died for me, the least I can do is be obedient to Him.
Right.
I mean, it's the very least that I can do. And like I said in my testimony, at the time, whenever I wrote it for that one church pamphlet thing, is that I did life on my terms for the first 44 years, and for the next 44, they're His.
Yeah.
They're His.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I want to do, no matter what that looks like, no matter what that takes, because I finally do have that peace, and I talk about it all the time that I'm not afraid of the other side. I'm not afraid of death. I don't want to die because I don't want to leave stuff behind, and that makes a lot more chores for you.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that for you.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean? So I'm not scared of that anymore.
I've had a blast doing it on His terms.
Me too. Yeah. Life is better.
It's a lot better than it was on my terms.
It seems like a big checklist. You think about all the stuff that you can't do whenever you do that, but it's ridiculous.
I know. Last night we went to
it was pretty awesome.
Kings of Queens.
It was a Queen tribute band with some friends
at church.
Yeah, yeah.
We went with them, some friends from church.
Yep, it was awesome.
And it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a good time.
It's not a snooze fest. It's a lot of fun.
No, it is not. It's far from a snooze fest.
Far
It's pretty adventurous, actually, if you ask me, because I wake up and I'm like, what do you have in store for me today?
Yeah.
And there's always something, because his mercies and grace are made new every single day.
Yeah.
Every day's day one.
Yeah.
It's one of my mottos. So...
All right.
All right. Well, I think that's it for today.
Well, friends, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. We plan on we plan on recording every Sunday. You never know what's going to pop up, though. And
I started a little short thing called PB&J.
I didn't know if you were going to talk about that. Or
I've told lots of friends about it, too, and I made an intro video for it. It's pretty funny. So PB&J, we call our guy at church, Pastor Andy, PA.
Yeah.
Pastor Caleb is PC, and I happen to be in the middle, PB, Pastor Brian.
Yeah.
So the more I think about it, just think of how funny would it be to do little YouTube shorts or something, PB&J, Pastor Brian and Jesus.
Right.
It's pretty funny. So how when you're reading YouVersion, the Daily Refresh, they have the 2 or 3 minute video recap of it. That's what I want to do, because throughout the day I think of these Bible verses, I think of real life applications, and I'm like, man, that'd be an awesome 2 minute video. And it's happened to me a million times. And obviously I've never really recorded one of those, and so I think it's gonna be really cool just to do that, just help build up some content, and all of the other fun stuff anyway, and then also just to get it off my chest. If you know me, you know that I like to talk, and I can only write so much. And so one of the reasons I love this so much is I can get a mic, I can start recording, and I can share it with the world. I can just spew things, and it's an amazing outlet for me.
Yeah.
It's an amazing release. And so, that's coming. That's pretty fun. I'm going to knock out maybe 2 of those or so a week. It's super duper easy. They're 2 minutes long, just a little bit of editing, cutting, etc. But I'm kind of excited about that. So. And
our first virtual session of Power of the Praying Wife is this Thursday.
Yeah.
So if you are listening and you are interested, it doesn't matter where you live. We will be meeting on Thursday nights, not every Thursday, but we plan on at least maybe once a month. And then we have a group on Facebook that's very private that we will share things with. And if that sounds like something you're interested in, it's called Family Warriors, but we're doing the Power of the Praying Wife, the first round. And that sounds like something you're interested in. Please reach out to me or Brian, and we will get you connected with that information and how to get started with us.
Yeah, you can comment below.
We would love to have you.
Or you can go to fortheone.church/circles.
Yep.
A lot of our videos do have QR codes that are put up here. We got links in the description, etc. So,
and shout out to Mandy Horn. She's my partner in this, and she's a wonderful woman of God, and she's been married to the same man for her whole life. So if you're one of those and you're like, I can't relate to Kristen, you think it's only about being married to an addict or going through a divorce or whatever. It's not just about that. She's on the other side, and she's her kids were homeschooled, and total different.
Yeah.
Different.
The whole premise really is
we have it covered. Yeah.
It's the power of prayer.
The power of prayer.
No matter what your family.
No matter what your family is.
Like. Yeah.
No matter what your family dynamic is, and how prayer can protect your family and your marriage, and
that sounds cool.
All kinds of things, no matter where you're coming from. So we're excited about that. So.
Are you kicking me out of the house when you do these?
You're already gone on Thursday nights, so I'm
there you go. She planned that well.
I did.
Well done.
did.
All right, cool.
I'm going to talk about how to pray about what prayers our marriage needs if you're right next to me. Then our marriage is going to need more prayer.
Such a good point.
I'm kidding.
No, she's not. All right. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Really, really appreciate you. You guys have a great week.
Have a great week. Bye.